Oh, it was a night
night
for the Thunder as Steph does his famous celebration. He had 36 points, 7 of 13 from 3. Of course, though, the unfortunate headline of this game is Holmgren's injury. He posted this message to social media and signed it, "Thoughts from the hospital bed." He said, quote, "Can't tell if I feel better or worse about this, having been through something similar. I know what to do, what not to do, how beautiful the other side is. But on the other hand, I felt the frustration of this process before." So let's bring in our senior NBA insider, Charania, for more on this. We hear from Chet that he's dealt with similar significant injuries in the past. Shams, what more can you tell us about what Chet is facing here?
Malika, this is a right iliac wing fracture in his hip area. It's a very rare injury, and the Thunder will reevaluate Holmgren in 2 to 2.5 months. The good news for the Thunder and for Holmgren, he will be back at some point this season. But if we know anything about the Thunder and how they've traditionally operated with injuries and return to play processes, they're going to be conservative. They're going to be careful with Chet Holmgren. We know he missed his entire rookie season. So 2.5 months at least for Chet Holmgren. Could it be longer than that? 100%. And in the meantime, they're going to have to learn how to be creative, play smaller, adaptive, because they're going to be without their star big man for at least the next few months.
Right, and they're already down Isaiah Hartenstein here, so they're going to have to get creative in those lineups. Shams, thank you so very much for that update. Please do not go too far. We have a couple more injuries that I want to check in with you on around the association. So the Warriors, though, let's go to the other side of this one. They've outscored their opponents by 119 points this season. That is the 5th time in franchise history they've outscored opponents by over 100 through 10 games. And if you're looking at history, they made the finals the other 4 times. It feels, though, like with the Warriors, we keep looking for benchmarks, right? Okay, they go into Boston. We're going to look at that game. All right, they're going into Cleveland. We're going to look at that game. Obviously, it was a blowout. And now Oklahoma City. David, you have been talking about this Warrior squad for a minute here. Is it time that we start saying can they, will they, won't they, and start to believe a little bit?
Absolutely. Last time I was here, I asked 2 questions. One is, why are we not looking at this team as a sleeper in the West? And 2, why is this team not considered to have a roster that's just as good as the roster they had in 2022? Now we have the answer. They're not just a sleeper in the West. They are legitimate contenders, and this roster is better than the one they had in 2022, and that is because of the versatility that they have in that lineup, and we saw it last night. We saw that when Holmgren went down and OKC goes that young, fast lineup, the Warriors benched Jackson, they sat Looney, and they went fast, and they carved up that defense with Steph Curry and Kuminga and all those guys who were just running up and down that third quarter. And now you have a situation where you come out of a gauntlet of these games with Boston and Cleveland and OKC, and you are 2-1 in those games, and you're looking forward at those standings. The Suns don't have Durant for a little bit. Holmgren does not have OKC for a couple months, and you can actually make some distance in that number 1 seed in the West.
Man, I want to hang out in David Dennis' room. It looks like you got a record player there, some incense.
It's like a good time in your office.
Got some stuff going on there. Hey, strength in numbers is back for the Warriors, right? It's back. And Buddy Hield is balling. He's playing like a 6th Man of the Year candidate. But look, for you fantasy people, I'm giving you a tip. Pick up DeAnthony Melton. Probably one of the more underrated pickups for this offseason for any NBA team. I think he's going to be huge for him. But the Warriors' depth is a big reason why they've started so fast.
You know, I was just getting ready to come in here and say, I think, though, that at some point they have to pick a starting lineup.
Well, they kind of are settling in. Curry, Melton, Wiggins, Green, Jackson, Davis.
And then Steve Kerr comes out and says at the end of the game, I really like this lineup, Anthony Melton in the starting lineup, because they had started 6 different shooting guards in the 10 games.
Right.
And Melton gives them that two-way presence that a guy named Klay Thompson used to give them in that same spot. He plays defense. I thought he was really good on SGA and Jalen Williams and J-Dub last night. 10 rebounds from the guard spot, 3 steals. He gives them more of what Klay Thompson used to give them and hit 5 threes last night.
Right, because I think when we think about those Golden State Warriors teams that went to so many finals, we think about the offensive firepower, but their defensive prowess was really up there near the top of the league in all of those successful runs.
It'd be good to see people that you grinded with, obviously, but to me, it's just another regular season game in November. Obviously, there's bigger implications with the NBA Cup. So that's what's on our mind, in my mind, is just to win that, because I haven't been a part of it yet. I know it's young, but it'd be fun to play for that title.
So Klay says it's just another game. You were there, though, Mr. Spears. Is that what you were hearing?
You know, you got that friend that said, man, I ain't tripping. Man, I'm good. That's Klay right now. He ain't tripping. He good, but he not. I felt like he's holding a lot of stuff in.
Yeah.
He said that this chapter is over, that it's not a big game. He's moving on. He told me there's no point in looking back. I asked him, hey, have you talked to Draymond? Have you talked to Steph? No. I'll see him at the game. So I think there's a lot of hurt feelings. Klay's probably too tough a guy to let it out, especially now. Maybe this game is coming too early. But, yeah, I think he's going to his reaction that whole game tomorrow is going to be very, very curious.
I mean, his eyes, his face, his demeanor, that was telling a different story than what he was saying.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you saw he had a mean mug on. His eyes were down. He was almost speaking it into existence. But the truth is, both sides were ready to move on. I think the Warriors were ready to move on. Klay was ready to move on. Needed that fresh start. I remember doing a story when he left as a free agent, and Joe Lacob took him to play golf, out here in L.A., and this was kind of maybe the last dance of the owner showing him, hey, I care enough about you to take you to play golf. They had 18 holes to talk about his free agency and extending there. They didn't talk about it at all. They just played golf. And that was kind of all that needed to be said, which was not said. They were done. Both sides were done.
Real quick, I asked him, what's the thing you miss about the most in the Bay? He said the ocean.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe it's fitting that Golden State is doing the salute to Captain Klay and giving everybody their hats to salute to Captain Klay.
He's not even going to drive his boat to the game.
I hope it's cathartic for him because you're ready for a breakup to happen. It doesn't mean it isn't hard to go and face it when it does. And that's something that I think all of us have to have a little bit of empathy for as he's going through this. It's going to be a huge game in the Bay on Tuesday. The Lakers go on to win 123-101. Back-to-back triple-doubles for LeBron. Here he is on putting in the time this season.
I've been blessed by the man above with some out of this world ability from the beginning, and then I just took full advantage of it, and I wasn't going to disrespect what he's given me, and I'm going to see how long I can do it. But I won't do it till the wheels fall off. I tell you that. I won't do that. I won't be one of those guys. Appreciate it.
Well, in these last two Lakers wins, LeBron became the oldest player in NBA history with consecutive triple-doubles. Of course, he's just over a month away from turning 40. But the other storyline we're following coming out of this one is the health of Anthony Davis with that poke to the eye. So Shams is back here with us now. Shams, what more can you tell us about the extent of this injury?
Malika, I'm told Anthony Davis is actually walking into a doctor's exam as we speak as far as to evaluate that eye of his. This is the same eye that he had an issue with last season, but there is some hope that this is not a major issue, that this is a precautionary visit to the doctor, and who knows, could goggles, some sort of eye protection be in Anthony Davis's future? That obviously is a question. I'm told there's a chance he could have returned to the game last night, just depending on the circumstances, but obviously the Lakers went on a little bit of a run there, and now Anthony Davis is getting an exam as we speak. Yeah,
he had that corneal abrasion, as you mentioned, in the same eye last March, so keeping an eye on this one, if you will. I didn't even mean for that.
I see what you did.
Well, it's time now to go coast to coast around the association. First stop, how about with the Sacramento Kings? Because DeMar DeRozan and De'Aaron Fox combined for 16 points in overtime to beat the aforementioned Suns. It was the first loss for Phoenix in clutch time this season. Mark, what is this Suns team without Kevin Durant?
In trouble. Bradley Beal's picking it up, though. I feel bad for Kevin because he has such an amazing start, MVP caliber start, and it's a long season, though. He'll be back.
Yep, it is a long season. The Phoenix Suns, they face the Utah Jazz tomorrow in the NBA Cup. Next up, the Grizzlies. They've won their last two games without John Morant. Zach Edey coming off the bench. Ramona, should we be excited? Should we temper expectations? How should we feel about Memphis?
I think you should be really excited about Memphis because they've redefined their offensive identity. 60 points in the paint a game. That's first in the NBA. 30 assists a game. That's second in the NBA. They're rolling. They're running here. And I think this continues with or without John Morant for a little while. They need him back eventually.
Absolutely. All right, finally, Tyrese Halliburton and Benedict Mathurin combined for 73 points in a Pacers victory over the Knicks. David, are the Pacers starting to turn the corner to be a threat in the East?
I think so. I think they can cause a few headaches for some of these teams. There's a lot of talk about how they got to the Eastern Conference Finals and the injury luck that got them there. But there's something to be said about the experience of going that far in the playoffs to outscore the Knicks by 13 points in that fourth quarter and really rally in the last 5 minutes. They did the same thing to keep the lead against the Celtics last week. This team is tested in these clutch moments.
Well, the Knicks bench, they've scored the fewest points and played the fewest minutes per game this season by a wide margin.
Yeah.
They scored almost 4 fewer points than any other team, about 3 times fewer, by the way, than the Golden State Warriors, if you're putting that in perspective. The Knicks, they've used the same starting 5 every game this season, and they're still under 500. So, Mark, stop me if you've heard me ask this before. Is this Tom Thibodeau-led team playing its starters too many minutes?
I have heard that before.
Yeah, maybe a couple times.
Yeah, he has to.
It sounds like a butt's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, but New York, calm down.
Okay.
It's early. There's just been so many changes with this roster that I think you got to give them some time. This ain't the NFL. Relax.
Okay.
They'll be all right.
You know what? There's something comforting about when Mr. Spears says relax.
That's right.
I'm going to just relax.
Don't do it.
Exactly. All right.